Welcome back. Nothing's happened really quite yet. No, not a whole lot's happened. But I guess I could probably talk about something, and I'll find something to talk about. Welcome to Cletus Ray's Roadside Service. Um, the logo that's on the podcast right now. I'm thinking that I downloaded Chat GPT the other day, and I messed with it a little bit. And I found some, things I want to use it for. I thought it would be really cool. And it turns out, it's free. You got to sign up. It's kind of, I didn't want to sign up. You can use it for free without signing up. I don't really think that changes much about, other than you can't, it won't let you do images. But you're able to send it images, and then it can, edit them for you, or there's other things you can do with it. Like I was like, all right, I wanna swap out the spokes, or not the spokes, but the sprockets on my motorcycle. Now I've got sprockets on the motorcycle. Obviously, it runs, it drives, but I've got another set of sprockets in a box. And am I gonna sit here and try to count all those fucking teeth, and then be like, wait, did I start on the one that I marked, or did I like, you can get a little confused, and just sitting there counting to 40 is, a waste of my time. You can just send a picture, and I tested it out. I found, because I don't have my bike with me right now, obviously, or the extra sprockets, but you can just take a picture of it and say how many spokes are on this sprocket or whatever, and it'll tell you. Because I took a screenshot off of Google, took a picture of a sprocket, and I said, how many teeth are on this sprocket? And it said 43. And I'm like, wow. And then it's like, oh, you could count it yourself. It's like, why the fuck would I do that when you just told me? I sent you a picture, and you immediately told me how many spokes or teeth are on that sprocket. This is nice. And I can also probably, take pictures of these two sprockets together and say, what would my gear ratio be? I can take swap out the front one. What would my gear ratio be with this one? What would my gear ratio be? And I can also, I can tell it, be like, well, with these spokes, my top speed is 94 miles an hour. If I swap these out, what do you think my top speed would probably be? Or would it increase or decrease? I don't know how smart the thing is. It seems like it's pretty fucking smart. Try it out. Anyways, so ChatGPT is pretty cool for that. And where I was talking about at the beginning was the image, because that's an AI generated image that is the logo for the podcast right now. The guy sitting on a bucket next to a AI Chevy truck. It's not the right year that I was going for, but it looks really cool, and it's got a sign above the garage and everything. And I was like, I like that image. I'm going to use it. And I've been using it for a while, but I was like, I wonder if I can send this image to the Chat GPT and say, hey, can you swap out the truck? Now, I said swap it out with a 79. Maybe I need to say swap it out with a 73 Chevy pickup, because 79 is too close to 80, because it swapped it out for, and it looks really good, but it's the wrong year front end truck. And I was like, and I wanted 79 because 79 and late 78, 79, and early 80, I think, were all the same headlight bezel, but it's like it's a short span of headlight bezel, and I don't like that headlight bezel anyway. So I might mess with it tonight at the hotel. But I was fucking with it, and I was like, oh, can you add this dirt bike in there? And it does what you ask it to do, but it you're like, well, I don't like it though. I want it better. And it's like, oh, I'll try again. But and also creating images, or just having images edited on there, instead of it just editing the image, it creates a whole nother image. And you have to get real fucking specific with what you want it to do. It put the dirt bike in there, but it put 2 dirt bikes in there, and they look like little dirt bikes. And I was like, hey, can you make the dirt bike bigger, a little bit bigger? And it did. It made it like an inch taller. Like it still looks like a pit bike, sitting there with the truck. And the truck is also not correct. And then I was like, no, I want this exact truck, and it just created an image of the truck. And I'm like, well, that's not right. Put that truck image in that. It just, you start getting a little irritated with it, because you're like, you're smart and you're good at doing things, but you're just not doing them the right way. But anyways, it's something that I'm working on. Because I wanted to just update the image. It's gonna be the same image, just a little bit updated. But also, like, if you look at the picture that I currently have, like, there's stuff on the wall, there's stuff on the ground, stuff in the garage. It's all like AI shit, but it looks kind of cluttered, and I like it looking kind of cluttered like that. And it started taking that stuff away. Every time I would have it, you know, generate a new image, there would be less stuff, and it would change the type of stuff. Um, so I don't know. I'm probably not going to use any of those images, but I might try to start a new, like, just start over from fresh with way more specific details. Like this, I want this image exactly the way it is. Just add in a different truck, and it needs to be a fleet side, because that's the other thing, is this thing, it thinks that every old truck is a step side, and I'm like, that's not right. It's not a step side truck. Like, why are you making them step sides? I think I'm clear. Nope, I'm not clear. I saw something. This fucking branch is really bothering me. If there was a tree branch that wasn't in the fucking way, I might be able to get out of here. Alright, I see headlights coming up, so I know there's a car coming now. Going for it. If you're coming over the hill, I'm sorry. There's not really much I can do. I can't sit here for fucking ever. There is a car back there that I cut off. I didn't cut them off, but they have to slow down because I pulled out on this road here. Give me a couple seconds. I'll get up to speed. I can't fucking see shit. Anyways, yeah, and I also, like, I just took an image of me and my wife on vacation. We're hugging with some mountains behind us, and you can also see, like, my son is in the background a little bit, just like bent over behind us. And I said, hey, make this image just better. Just make this better. And it, like, the hat that I had, it was a Sitka Alaska hat. Fucking jumbled up the letters on that hat. Changed the logo on the hat. Took out one of the mountains and added in a really cool sky. And it just kind of changed some stuff. I mean, whatever. I'm just not happy with the edit that it did. But I don't know, man. This AI stuff is pretty fucking crazy. But ChatGPT. So there was the other app that I was using. I think it was Bing. Bing has its own image creator that you can use, and I think that's what I was using for my podcast. And it would give me, like, I would give it directions, and it would give me 4 pictures, and I could just screenshot them and save them. But ChatGPT, it just gives you one, but it takes for fucking ever. I mean, it doesn't take forever, obviously. But it does take a few minutes for it to generate an image. And the Bing one, it took like a minute, and it would create 4 of them. And this one, this regular old ChatGPT, It's like working, 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 and then if you click the button on the app and go over, you have a gallery of images created or whatever. Click on that, and the image will show up in the gallery before the message thread, says, "Hey, here's the image." So it's just slow. It's kind of slow compared to others, but I don't know. I'm interested in it. It's going to be a part of everybody's life. Might as well learn how to use it, you know, rather than try to put it off forever. I'm going to be completely lost if I have no, interaction with AI. I need to have a little bit of interaction with AI to figure out what the hell is going on. If I just, a lot of people are like, nope, I ain't doing no AI stuff. And it's like, I wish we didn't have to, but we kind of have, we're going to have to. This shit's going to be taken over, and it's going to be everywhere. And I even saw a video from, I think this guy's name is Johnny Harris. He was on Joe Rogan a while back. And he does all kinds of other videos about, conspiracies and big mega companies and shit like that. But this one I watched here recently, he said it's the end of cat videos. And it's like, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, people can still take videos of their cat. And he was basically like, yeah, you can. But up until, a couple years ago, every cat video, especially if it looked like it was homemade, was pretty much a real cat video. And now none of the cat videos are going to be real anymore. And so it's an interesting perspective to look at it. And it's like, all right, yeah, we're done with that. Like, but 5 years ago, if you see a guy riding a dirt bike and fucking smack a wall or jump and fall off, like, that's real. But now it's like, it could be completely fake. There was a video I was watching the other day of a lady laying on her back with a dog, and she was giving this dog a treat, but she kept like taking it away from the dog. And then the dog jumped and bit her face, and her face turned into cabbage. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was like one of those little stitches or whatever where somebody comes in, they're like, yeah, this is not cool. Like, this is not cool. So I watched it again a couple of times, and the dog has 5 feet. So that was like, dead giveaway. And that prompted me to talk to my son, because he watches a lot of YouTube and stuff, and sometimes he gets on my YouTube versus his kids' YouTube. But it's even on his kids' YouTube stuff too. But I was like, hey man, I need you to realize something. And he's like, what? I was like, I'm going to show you some videos and tell me if it's real or fake or whatever. And I showed him a bunch, and he got a lot of them right. But I was like, you need to understand, this AI stuff is getting better, like really good. So you need to focus on, whenever somebody shows you a video, and it might be scary, or it could be a video of me or mommy talking to you. You need to look at it before you make a decision about whatever the context is of the video. I didn't say all these fancy dancy words with him, but I was like, you need to focus on the videos and make sure they're real before you just accept them for what they are. Just trying to inform him that most of the stuff you're going to see on the internet, especially YouTube, is going to be completely fake or fabricated, because he gets stuck on these videos where it's like, the little boy was sad. The little boy wanted his ball. The man would not let him have his ball. The man killed his family. And it's like, he's like, Dad, look at this sad video. I'm like, and it's just a voiceover with pictures or whatever. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing watching it? First off, what are you watching this for? And second off, that's fake. It's like, but the boy, he wanted his ball and his dad died. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, relax, dude. I was like, that's completely fake. It looks real. I'm like, I know. It's not real. Or it's voiceovers over and I don't know, these content creators, especially overseas, you can tell they're in like some third world country, and they're doing these videos, and then they have or they don't even have voices in them. They're just noises and shit, and it's like I don't know. It's my poor son. I'm like, you gotta really pay attention to this shit, okay? No matter what the video is, and no matter how it makes you feel immediately, think about it being fake, okay? That's all I want you to do. Is watch a video, no matter what it is, say to yourself, is this real or is this fake? Because most of the fucking time, it's gonna be fake, dude. Trying to get this into your mind. Most of the things you see are gonna be fake. Because he used to do that all the time. He would come over to me, he's like, I watched a sad video, and it's like this guy's dog died or whatever, and it was a completely staged. It was like a guy that had a dog. They laid him down in the road. They cut the video to make it look like the dog got hit by a car or whatever, and it's like, and then it's got like kids fake crying in a circle or whatever, and he's like, it's so sad. I'm like, that's completely fake. Quit watching this shit. Like, it's not real, man. So, anyways, that's what's going on. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Talked to my sister, called her. I guess this goes back to my childhood a little bit. So I was listening to a podcast about something, and then they said a word. They were talking about bricks or something. I don't even know how it came up, but it reminded me of a song by Ben Folds. It's called Brick by Ben Folds 5 or whatever that band is. And so I listened to the song because I remember listening to that song with my mom in the car. And I guess my sister was there too because I called her and talked to her about it. But I was like, do you remember that Ben Folds song, Brick? And mom told me when I was young, I was like, what is he talking about a brick for? And my mom was like, oh, well, sometimes people, like, they have a bunch of puppies and they don't want all the puppies, so they put them in a bag, put a brick in the bag, and then they toss it in the pond or whatever to drown them. I'm like, what the fuck, Mom? Like, even especially now looking back, I'm like, why the hell would you tell me that? Make up something different. Like, at the time I could probably understand if she said, "Oh, it's just like he feels like he has a brick on him or something." But and then this was before I listened to the song. And my sister was like, "Yeah, it's about an abortion." I was like, "Oh, I totally thought it was about like a dog. Like somebody got a dog on Christmas Day, and then it was after Christmas and they didn't want the dog anymore, so they put it in a bag with a brick and threw it in the pond. Like, that's what I thought the song was about the whole time. I listened to the song, and yeah, it's not about a dog at all. But, I mean, it's the same reference, I guess, to that, sort of. I don't fucking know. Fucking weird shit going on. Anyways, that's Ben Folds. My take on Ben Folds' Brick, I guess. After I listened to it, I was like, all right, okay, cool. I listened to it. Now I won't have to listen to it again for another probably 10 years. Not a big Ben Folds guy. But the rest, a lot of my sister and my brother, and even my other brother, I think they like Ben Folds a lot. Like they would go see a concert for Ben Folds. I'd be like, good, go see it. I don't want to. I actually don't want to go see any concert, really. I went and saw Hank Williams Jr. and I was like, this is gonna be awesome. He just sat there and bitched the whole time. He sang like little parts of all of his songs mixed up into one song with him bitching about Hillary Clinton in the middle of it. This was a while back. This was like Trump was working on getting in 2016 or something. And it was at the state fair. And then Alan Jackson came out before him or after him. I don't know. But I saw Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson was awesome. But I don't know. I do like Hank Williams Jr. I listened to him a little bit. I used to listen to him a whole lot, like a bunch. I was like, Hank Jr., hell yeah. But I don't know. As I've gotten a little bit older, I still have a lot of his songs on my playlist and stuff, but sometimes they get skipped. Not because I don't like the guy. I think he's an alright guy. He's just a big name, you know. He's a big guy, big personality, and I think he was upset he wasn't let into the Highwaymen. Now I don't know. I don't know. I think he was like, I want to be a part of this, and they were like, nah. Because I always wondered that. I was like, you know, Hank Williams, Waylon, Willie, uh, you know, uh, Merle, uh, David Allan Coe, you know, all those guys. They all have a special place, you know, in country music. But I just think Hank Jr. was like, I don't know. He didn't really. I don't think he really rode his dad. You know, his dad's legacy, because he had a totally different style of music. You know, his dad's was just more classic, Hank Senior. And then I think Hank 3, his son. You know, I think him and his son should have, you know, worked on a little bit more stuff together, especially since Hank 3, whenever he first started out, and I don't know, they have a personal life and they have a lot more, you know. I'm just some fucking guy driving a truck, so I don't know anything, but I think it would have been cool if, you know, because he respected his daddy a lot, and even Hank 3 respects him a lot, but I don't think Hank Jr. and Hank III really got along very well for a while, because it was like people got on Hank Jr. for, you know, making some crazy ass songs, and then Hank 3 came out with some really fucking like devil worshipping songs and shit. If you haven't listened to Hank 3 before, look it up. Look up Hank Williams the 3 or Hank the 3rd, and just listen to, you know, some of his top songs. Um, he's a hellbilly, you know. Instead of a hillbilly, he's a hellbilly, and it's, I don't know. I like a lot of his songs. Like, I used to be a Hank 3 major fan. I'm not a devil worshiper. I just think a lot of his songs were really cool, and they're about drinking and drugs and all kinds of shit. But yeah, I don't know. And then there was that documentary that came out, The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. Those people are fucked up. Uh, Pretty fucked up documentary. If you wanna, if you're bored on a Friday night, just check that out. It's a fucking crazy fucking documentary, but it's just about fucking uh, wild people that live in the hills of West Virginia and some of the crazy shit that went down. It's like the sheriff is sitting there. He's like, I don't give a fuck about them. You know, fuck them. They're fucking horrible people. They're always doing drugs and stealing shit and everything. But Hank the Third he had went there for the documentary and kind of hung out with some of those people. But anyways, I don't know. How are we talking about all this right now? Oh, I just talked about going to a concert. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to get at is, even if there's somebody I kind of like, I don't I don't even know if I want to go see them at concert. Uh, It's like, I don't know, especially music. It's like, I feel like the best music they've already they record it and then they put it on Spotify, So I'm just gonna listen to, or on an actual CD or album or something. I'm gonna listen to that and like them, rather than go see a live show and maybe they're just not in the best mood. This is the 7,000th time they've sang this song, and they put on a good show and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. Music, I'm just gonna watch music. But comedy, I'll go watch comedy. But even then, I went and I saw Shane Gillis. It's like, yeah, I was kind of uncomfortable sitting in a chair. My knees were blown out, and he was saying a lot of the same jokes I've already heard before. Still had a good time, but I could have probably went without that, But I'm glad I went. I'm glad I went to support him. Is this guy turning? If you're turning, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the head. I'm slow as fuck. I can't just pull out in front of these fucking rednecks out here. Oh, what else is going on? Oh, I just talked to my sister a little bit. She didn't have a super great time on the cruise. And I just I hadn't even talked to her really about the cruise, especially afterwards. But we kind of just talked about some of the shit that happened on the cruise that we weren't a really big fan of, but that's all. That's all personal shit. It was nice to talk to her, though. Talk to her about Ben Folds, about the song. She's like, I remember Mom talking about that. I was like, yeah, isn't that fucking crazy? She would, Mom is such a sweet woman, and why would she tell her young son, about drowning puppies in a fucking bag with a brick? Like, I had nightmares about that, growing up. Because I loved dogs. I think my mom loves dogs too, but she's just allergic, so we were never allowed to have any. So I felt like, I don't know, I probably felt like there's people that are drowning dogs and I want dogs so bad, like, and I just felt really bad. Uh, and now I don't know how I feel. I know how I feel about it now. I love dogs. I absolutely love all dogs. I think if anybody is resorting to throwing dogs in a bag with a brick in a river, it's like there are people out there that will take the puppies. Okay? So don't fucking do that. Even kittens. Like, I understand kittens and cats are kind of rampant. You're gonna need to, if you're gonna pass me on a fucking 2-lane blacktop, you're gonna need to hit the fucking gas. Okay? You can't just pass me at 5 miles faster than me. You need to be hitting the fucking throttle. Okay? You fucking Toyota. A Toyota, I'm doing the speed limit, and they were gonna pass me, and they're fucking right next to me. I had to slow down so they didn't fucking head-on collision the car that's oncoming. You're gonna pass me. I shouldn't have to fucking slow down, you stupid fuck. Jesus Christ. Dangerous. Danger, danger. So anyways, like I was saying, I understand cats. Cats, they have fucking fuckload of cats. There's cats fucking everywhere. You see them out, roadkill all the time. Especially in Missouri. I don't know what it is about Missouri, but Missouri has an amazing amount of roadkill. And I didn't realize that we had more roadkill than usual until I drove down. Every time I've driven south, I've driven to Florida a couple of times, and both times I noticed that there was like no roadkill. There was so less roadkill that I noticed there wasn't dead animals all over the side of the road. Drive through Missouri. I promise you'll be people that aren't from here. Like it's normal to me to see dead animals all over the side of the road. Other people that come in from out of town, I wonder if they are like, holy shit, look at all the fucking dead animals all over the fucking road. And they don't really get cleaned up. They just get turned into a dark spot on the pavement because they've been run over so many times. They just become grease on the road, you know? All these dark spots you see on the road, you'd think, oh, somebody had an oil leak right there. No, an animal got hit and ran over so many times, it's turned into a dark spot on the road. That's what these dark spots are all over the road. You know, there's so many animals that get hit on Missouri roadways. And it's Arkansas isn't that far away. I've driven down to Arkansas, and it's like right at the border. I don't know if they have people driving around, they pick up the animals, or their animals are smarter. I don't understand, because even when I got down to southern Arkansas, I was doing a run. I did a podcast back there, but there were thousands of deer, and I was on a 2-lane blacktop driving through the darkness. And every time I would come around a corner and my headlights would hit the shoulder, you would see hundreds, tens or hundreds of deer just standing on the side of the road. And you're like, holy shit, they might run out in front of me and I'm going to hit a deer. No, there wasn't any dead deer on the side of the road. I didn't see any deer standing on the road. I don't understand what the hell was going on. Because the deer in Missouri, they run out in front of your car. They wait in the bushes, and right when you're there, they jump out and run in front of you. Don't know why, but that's what it is. That's what happens. And then there's dead deer all over the side of the road. Go down to Arkansas, you'll be lucky to see a dead one on the side of the road. It's what is going on? What the fuck is going on? But yeah, I mean, dead animals all the time. And where I was getting at was cats. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of dead dogs and cats. A lot more cats. A lot more cats. Cats, they're feral. Most of the dogs you see, they have a collar on, or they were, somebody's dog, or they were dumped or something. But most of the cats you see, those are fucking feral. Those are just, feral farm cats or whatever, just running around. Even in the city, there's feral cats everywhere. Yeah, pretty insane. Let me just call out roadkill. I'll say beep every time I see a dead animal. It's still a dead animal. It's not a fucking dark spot on the road. Just an actual dead animal. I'll say beep. Beep. That one's almost a dark spot, but right now it's still an animal. I'll try to continue the conversation and just beep out whenever I see one. But we've passed several. There's one beep. It's just so many, and I'm just on a normal road out here in Missouri. It is a 2-lane blacktop. It is kind of like there's a lot of trees on both sides of the road. And I think I just missed one. I forgot to beep it out. But here's one. So beep, and I'll try to find out what it is. It's probably, that's a raccoon. Raccoon. We have raccoon, possum, squirrel, armadillos. They have been moving up this way. Alright, there was an Amber Alert that just went off. There's a chunk of tire. Other animals are deer. Deer get hit a lot. I don't know if the Amber Alert started going off and I said armadillo, but I've never seen a live armadillo. Never seen one alive. I've seen a lot of them dead. Never seen a live armadillo moving around. I don't know. Now that I wanted to start looking for them, I'm seeing less. But I promise you, there's a lot of fucking dead animals. Uh, what else was going on? Oh, I talked to my son the other night. I don't know. He was just seeming like he wasn't super happy. I don't know what it was, but I was just talking with him, and I guess what I said probably wasn't a good idea. Well, I don't even know if he was unhappy. I was just talking with him because he was mad. He was mad at me. Oh, I forgot a beep, beep. Why am I shaking? Do I have a fucking flat tire? Those tires look fine. Beep. Uh, I was like, you know what? I think this was actually just brought up out of nowhere. Beep. I was like, whenever I was probably about your age, I thought I was the only real human. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, I thought everybody else was a robot. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I thought I was the only real person. And everybody else was robots. Even my mom and my dad and my sisters and my brothers and like everybody, like my bus driver, my teachers. I thought everybody else was a robot. And I was the only person that was ever alive. He's like, that's that's not real. I was like, I know it's not real. I was like, I just I just created things in my own mind where I thought that I was the only real person, or everybody else was an alien or something. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. All right, good night. And then I walked out. I didn't. That's not exactly how it went, but it was. I was just kind of. I didn't know if he ever had those thoughts. Oh, because well, it wasn't because of this, but he was watching my YouTube, which I sometimes will allow. If it's on the TV and I can sit there and monitor him or whatever, I can let him watch my YouTube, which just gives him a little access to some streamers and stuff that he won't have access to on YouTube Kids because they don't make anything available on YouTube Kids. But he likes to watch some of these other streamers or other like Fortnite videos or Minecraft videos where they're just like role playing shit or whatever. So, uh, anyways, he was watching it was a short, and it was like different types of tornadoes. It was like fire tornado, EF5 tornado, water tornado, sand tornado, invisible tornado. And then there was one that it was an AI deal, and it said gay tornado. And he said, "Daddy, look, it's a gay tornado." I'm like, I just looked over at him. I said, what does gay mean? And beep. He's like, I don't know. I was like, oh, you don't know what it means? He's like, no. He's like, it just means like you have two dads or two mommies or something. I was like, oh, so you don't really know what gay means. And I mean, this kid, he's 6 years old. We should not be talking about this, but my wife has brought it up a couple times. Beep. And so I'm like, what do you think gay means? And he's like, it means you have two daddies or two mommies. I said, okay, well, you're pretty close. But I explained to him, I was like, well, do you like boys or girls? Like, he's like, I like girls. I was like, okay. I was like, some boys don't like girls. They like other boys. And that's just the way it is. And some girls like girls. He's like, well, I have a lot of friends. All my friends are boys. I was like, yeah, that's different. I was like, do you want to kiss I didn't even say that. I don't know what the fuck I said, but yeah, it just got a little awkward kind of quick. But I was like, yeah, well, you know, if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be laughing about it, or thinking it's a joke. I was like, and even the video, it wasn't like it was a joke or whatever, even though it was, but it was just like, oh, fire tornado, gay tornado. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with all this, but it's weird to have these talks with my son. But yeah, the other night we were going to bed, and he's got like stuffies or whatever, stuffed animals or stuffed, action figures, and he collected a bunch of them. He's got Spider-Man, Black Spider, or Spin or whatever, Black Panther, Ghost Spider, and another one. And then my daughter, she's got like mermaids and princesses and stuff. Well, my son, every night when he goes to bed, he's like, "Where's Ghost Spider?" I was like, "Why do you want Ghost Spider?" He's like, "I just like to sleep with her." He's like, "She's my girlfriend." I was like, "Oh, all right." So I find it and I give it to him, and I was like, "You want Ghost Spider because you're gonna kiss her, aren't you?" He's like, "Not right now," and it's just so funny. He doesn't know much yet. He's so innocent, so it's kind of funny. That's not an animal, that's a tire. That's a mud flap. I don't want to make Missouri out like we're a trash state, but I mean the amount of dead animals is staggering. Beef, there's still chunks of something sitting there in the road. And then my wife, we were talking the other day. We were going to go to a splash pad with the kids or whatever, and she's like, "Well, there is this one, and it's really cool." But a mom just put up a picture, and it was a picture of like guts laying in the thing. She's like, "Somebody dropped a bunch of guts here." I was like, "A bird fucking dropped it." Okay, relax. She said, "Well, I don't want to go there." I'm like, yeah. I mean, we've I don't want to say we missed out on anything, but we haven't been to IHOP in a very long time, but we have an IHOP in town, and I'm like, "Do you want to go to IHOP?" She's like, "No, not that one." I was like, "Why not?" She's like, "My friend posted a picture up of a roach at that one," and I was like, "Yeah, I know. You bring that up every time." That was like 11 years ago. Somebody saw a roach at this restaurant. I'm like, relax. So I don't know. We don't. If there's something gross somewhere, we won't go. Yeah, but it's just a funny thing. There's still chunks. Beep as some sort of animal. It is now mostly a grease spot on the road. What else is going on? I was supposed to stop and eat lunch at some point in time. I was gonna stop and eat lunch at the place where I was, but then I started recording and I just started driving. So I don't know. I got lunch meat. My sandwiches are good. I keep forgetting to bring cheese though, guys. There's no cheese on my sandwiches. I'd like to have sandwiches with cheese. Um, this morning was good. I did stay at a Holiday Inn there in Wichita, the one I normally go to. I got me a Hunt Brothers pizza, a candy bar, a Sunkist. The other day I drank an Orange Crush. I was like, I got the wrong one. Sunkist is where it's at. So last night was a decent little dinner there, and I hate that hazardous waste trucks have to stop at railroad tracks. I think it's some BS. Like, I stop there, but it takes me 15 seconds to get across the track. So if a train does come around the fucking corner, instead of me just hauling ass over the tracks, like everybody else, I gotta stop, and then it just gives. I spend more time on the tracks. I think it's stupid. I think if they want to make a new law or revise the law for hazardous waste trucks, if it's not a protected crossing, you must stop and look. That makes sense. So if you're out in the middle of a field or something, you got to stop and look before you cross railroad tracks. But these railroad tracks that have big crossing arms and the big fucking lights and shit, if those aren't doing anything, you should be able to just go across the tracks. Or just, like, I don't know, limit the speed. Okay, you have to go 25 over railroad tracks or something. So you slow down, so if you do need to make an emergency stop, you can do it. Beep, that one's fresh. Um, yeah, because I think stopping completely, putting on your flashers, and then going, I think that's so dumb. And there's not a lot of railroad tracks I gotta go across, but there's 1, 2, 3 sets of railroad tracks I gotta go across to get to. Well, 4. There's 4 sets of railroad tracks I gotta go across on my current route. And it just seems dumb, It just seems really fucking dumb. But I do it. It's my job. It's what I get paid for. If I don't and I get pulled over, I could be in trouble. You didn't stop at the tracks. Was there a fucking train? Did I get hit? No. Leave me the fuck alone. Jesus Christ, Anyways, what else is going on in the world? The Epstein. Now that I just said that word, I know my fucking podcast is going to be, fucking flagged or some shit. I don't know what to think about any of that. I don't know. What's going to happen is going to happen no matter what I think. If you're interested in knowing anything about what's going on with that, you're gonna need to look somewhere else, because I don't know shit, and it changes by the hour. I don't know anything, or I've been trying to listen to some stuff to try to get a grasp of what's going on, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Are we supposed to like the president or hate the president? What's going on here? Like, I'm not picking a team. I don't know what's going on. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. Don't know what's going on, ain't gonna find out. But that's the way it is. So if you gotta look somewhere else to find out. As for everything else, I don't know. A lot of flooding going on, a lot of volcanoes, a lot of earthquakes, a lot of crazy weather events. It's hot as fuck right now. I mean, right now it's only 92, but I think the heat index for the entire week is supposed to be over 100. Like, over 100, under 110, I think, around is where the heat index is supposed to be for the week, which is, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I'm in an air-conditioned cab most of the time, and when I'm not, I'm just outside for a little bit of time and then running around. But tomorrow I'll be riding my dirt bike home, so that'll be cool. I did get a call from my boss, well, not my boss, but a guy. So, hey, I need you to swap that truck out. I was like, today? He's like, yeah, just bring it by the shop and swap it out. I'm like, I don't have time to do that today. It's like, well, we need that truck. It needs a new windshield. I was like, this truck or a different truck? It's like, the truck you're in. Is there not a big ass crack in the windshield? I was like, I haven't noticed a crack. And then I start like looking at it, and I'm like, I don't see anything. I mean, there is a little tiny chip. So okay, well, yeah, we need to get that. I'm like, I can't do that today. I was like, brother, relax. I'm not going to drive an hour north, spend however long it takes to swap out the tractor, which isn't a long time, but it's not gonna. I'm not gonna just get up there, swap out, and then take off. There's gonna be some other shit going on that's gonna limit me in my time. I already got my hotel booked, and then I'm not gonna have. I'm gonna, be out of hours hauling hazardous waste by the time I get to my fucking hotel. I was like, I'm coming there tomorrow. Can you do it tomorrow? He's like, oh well, I mean, if there's not even a crack, then don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, so it's just got me all riled up for no reason. Like, fuck, man, relax. I need to relax. He needs to relax too. Fuck, there's no crack in the windshield. He's like, man, they're making it sound like there's a giant crack in the windshield. I'm like, I don't see any crack. It's like, nothing in your line of vision. I was like, no, man. I was like, if there's anything in my vision, it's all these bugs. I need to wash the windshield. Um, they just couldn't. They hadn't bothered me in a while, so they needed to really bother me. But yep, that's the plan. Everything's going pretty good. I could not stay at my Holiday Inn again. It's still booked up. Don't know what the fuck is going on in Alva that the Holiday Inn is completely booked up, but I went ahead and booked the Comfort Inn because I stayed at the Days Inn, and that was not good. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but I'll stay at the Comfort Inn next time. They do have breakfast. It's not as good as the Holiday Inn, but they do have breakfast, so I'm going to go over there, and that's where I'm headed right now. That's all I got to do today. I got loaded. Loaded. Loaded went well. It wasn't pulling a vacuum at first, and I could not figure out why. Because I had, whenever I get ready for that, I start the vacuum pump, and then I get out of the truck, and I go inside, and I get my paperwork, and I talk to the people, and then I go outside, and then by the time I go outside, I should be at 20 inches of vacuum. I was not. I was at 0. And one of my gauges that I've been relying on, now I know it's not correct. It is incorrect gauge, which is not cool. So, but I got it to pull vacuum. I had one of my lids was a little bit loose. That's where I wash out at. I rinsed out the tank. And whenever I close the lid, I don't close it and pull vacuum. I just close it because I know I'll pull vacuum eventually. Just close it to keep from rain or something getting in there. But just had to tighten the lid down. Wasn't a big deal. And then it started pulling vacuum really good and got loaded. I pulled so my load from yesterday, have it right here. A load yesterday was 79,940. I was 60 pounds off. So that was a perfect load yesterday. And today I stopped it. But I probably could have left it open for like another second or two. So I don't think this one, I think this one, I don't know. It might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. Should be right around the same. But another problem I'm having is my stick reading. Because these frac tanks, they have a chart on it. And it's a chart, and it's got inches, and then the corresponding gallons next to it. 1 inch is this many gallons. 25 inches is this many gallons, but it goes every single inch, all the way up to like 117. 117 is right around the tallest frac tank that I've seen. Um, but with this stuff, it's rule of thumb is you can hold 4,200 gallons and not be overweight, even though it's a 5,500 gallon frac tank or a tanker truck. You can only put 4,200 gallons in it without going overweight because it's so heavy. It's heavier than water, so you can't load as much. But my stick reading is showing that I'm pulling like 4,700 gallons, and that's not right. That ain't right. I know that I can only hold 4,200 before being overweight, but my stick reading, so far, each of my stick readings have been saying that I've been pulling 4,500, 4,700 gallons. Because I still do stick readings. And that's mainly for them there, so they know how much room is in the frac tank. And then I just decide to just, cross-reference the stick reading versus my weight gauge. And I still write down 4,200 gallons because that's right at the legal, what we had deemed the legal limit. But I guess it could be I don't have as many hoses on the truck. So I have a bunch of 2-inch hoses and 3-inch hoses and other fittings and other items and shit that do come out. They might come up to almost 1,000 gallon, or 500 gallon, not gallon. I'm talking weight, could be 500 pounds. So I guess technically I could haul an extra 500 pounds worth of liquid if I have 500 pounds less of equipment on the truck. I guess that's the only thing I can come up with. But yeah, and that is starting to make a little bit of sense. But I'm still writing down 4,200. They charge us by weight anyways. They don't charge us by what I write down. What I write down is basically for if I get pulled over, I can tell them, this is roughly how much I got. I didn't count out every single fucking gallon, but should be pretty fucking close. Yeah, so I stayed at the Wichita Hotel. Got me some biscuits and gravy and eggs this morning. Helped me out. I didn't stop and get breakfast anywhere else. I just stopped there, ate some of that stuff. I decided to grab 2 coffees, which was a really good idea. I don't really like their coffee, but 2 coffees is better than 1, no matter how bad it tastes. Okay? I like coffee. So, and I actually used their little pump, of creamer or whatever. Usually I use the little cups, the little creamer cup. But used the little pump, and it made it taste a little bit better. A little foo-foo, but a little bit better. I cannot drink Holiday Inn, coffee that they have down in the breakfast room. I cannot drink that black. It's so fucking disgusting. It ruins the taste of my mouth all day. Especially right after you brush your teeth, go down and get the breakfast. And then you drink that fucking nasty fucking coffee. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Holiday Inn? What the hell? Because inside the room, they have the little K-cups for your Keurig machine. And I take those home. Those are Green Mountain delicious coffee. I like that coffee. I'm not going to use the coffee pot in the room. What if somebody put jizz in the coffee pot? And then I'm just brewing up a cup of jizz. I don't want that. Do not want to drink somebody's cum in the morning. Don't care who you are. I ain't doing it. Because I can definitely see some weirdos jizzing in the coffee pot. They're like, look at this coffee pot. You know, they have this little coffee pot here. You got to put a little water in there. First off, there's a lot of dust in there. I know. I have a Keurig at home, and if I don't use it all that often, or I don't run some water through it before I brew my cup of coffee, it's dusty. And I don't want dusty coffee, and I don't want, yeah, it's too easy. People put their dicks in everything, okay? Who's to tell me, oh, there's definitely not any jizz in your coffee pot? You can't put that, you can't say that. Because there's always a possibility for there to be jizz in there. I could have conditioned my beard with somebody's jizz last night. Okay? That's a possibility. Now, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more, because I'm in the shower, so like I feel like what if I do rub jizz in my beard, I'm washing it out also. But if I'm brewing up a cup of jizz, I'm drinking that jizz, and I'm going to hold on to that until I'm fucking pissing. I don't want to get my fucking bladder pregnant with somebody else's fucking weirdo baby. Don't want that to happen. You know? Don't need jizz in my fucking coffee. Don't also, I'd rather not have it in my conditioner, but it's so close in consistency that it's like, if it is, I would never know for certain. I would also never know for certain if it's in the coffee pot, but I'm putting that on my lips. I'm drinking it. I'm chugging it. I'm not chugging jizz, guys. Not doing that. I think what I do is much more sanitary, where I jizz like inside the air conditioning vent. Like the intake for the AC, or like just the control panel. You open up the control panel, jizz on the control panel, and then shut the lid. And then it's like, all right, so because it says use the wall, use the thing on the wall. So if you open that up and you touch my jizz, you're breaking the rules, buddy. It tells you not to touch these buttons, anyways. I'm jizzing on them, so if you do touch them, you're in the wrong. You're the one that's wrong, not me. Okay? There's nothing in there. It says use the buttons on the wall. It doesn't say don't jizz in here. Okay? So I do what I do, and that's the way it is. Also, the curtains. Never saw a sign saying don't jizz in the curtains. I'm doing it. Sometimes. Not all the time. And it's not always, sometimes there's not a lot of G cream. Jizz. There's not a lot of jizz, so, some of the curtains, you could probably barely even tell. But when the sunlight's coming through and you're like, man, why don't they ever clean these curtains? Because you can see, like, dark spots in the curtains. Kind of like the grease on the road. You're like, an animal got hit here, and now it's grease on the road. Like, somebody jizzed in the curtain, and now there's grease in the curtain. And I'll tell you what, sometimes those grease spots, they ain't from me. Okay? Not from me. Rubbing one out on the curtains while you're looking out the window and somebody's smoking a cigarette, that's weird. I don't do that. Plus, doing that, you'd shake the curtain too much. You'd be like giving attention to where you're at. Like, hey, look in this window. Look at my fucking naked penis. Look up here at my penis. I'm jizzing in the curtains. I'm jizzing in the AC unit. What's up? These windows don't open. I can knock, though. I can knock on the window. I can mushroom stamp the window. Hey, look at me, everybody. Jerking off in my hotel room. And people don't even care. They look up at you and they just give you a thumbs up. Because everybody knows. When you get in a hotel room, you jizzing. You shitting and then you jizzing. Okay? That's what you're doing. Everybody knows it. If you don't, you're weird. You're weird. Okay? Jizz in your hotel room. That's what they're for. That's why it smells weird. I don't know, man. That's what's going on in these hotel rooms. Do you think the housemaid changed your sheets? I make sure they change the sheets. Okay? You know how I do that? I jizz all over them. I get some chew all over it. Sometimes, like last night, I ate a candy bar in the bed and I wiped the chocolate on the side. Now, she probably thinks I was rubbing my asshole along the edge of the bed, the mattress or whatever. You know, little poop mark. That's chocolate, bud. That's chocolate. But guess what? Whenever you get to your hotel room and you throw those sheets off, you're not going to see it. You know why? Because she saw it. She changed the sheets. I make sure they change the sheets in the hotel room. Are you laying on fingernail clippings? No. You know why? Because she saw the fingernail clippings in the bed. My toenails, they are all over the place. I don't catch them. Sometimes I knock them off onto the floor, onto the carpet. Do you see those on the carpet? No, I make sure they vacuum. I'm just trying to be a good steward to the next guest is what I'm doing. Now, the curtains and the AC unit, that's all going to stay there. They're not going to wipe it all down. They're not going to check it. They're not going to look. That's a forever jizz. My jizz will forever be in those curtains. Uh, so yeah, that's kind of how I leave my mark around town. What if a woman, now just get this, what if a woman goes up to those curtains? She's a fucking freak. She's not hot. Don't think of a hot woman. She's not a hot woman. She's probably kind of like 52, old, decrepit, stinky, hairy, not good looking pussy. And she rubs those fucking curtains into her, you know what I'm talking about. And I end up having a fucking unknown child. And I'm like, she's like, hey, I'm pregnant and it's your kid. I'm like, I know you stinky bitch. You've been rubbing the curtains in your puss. You stayed in room 212 and you rubbed them curtains in your puss. You fucking stinky hoe. That ain't my kid. You fucked the curtains. You didn't fuck me. My jizz happened to be on the curtains where you rubbed. Okay? Don't be coming after me for child support. You're the one that rubbed your puss in the fucking curtains. That's your kid, not mine. You imagine that kid coming out? You think he would remember being on the curtain for like 3 days? Like on the curtain, baking in the sun, getting blown by the fucking air conditioning unit right there? With the smell of more cum coming at him? Just as like a little sperm hanging out on the curtain. And then some fucking stinky bitch goes in there and rubs it right into her puss, and then it's like, fuck, I need to find an egg. Gets in the egg, and then it's born, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? I should have lived my life looking out the window of a Holiday Inn at the Comfort Inn, but no, now I'm a born child. Poor kid. Okay? Just think of that scenario. I don't know. Is it possible? I need to ask an expert. If you think it's possible, comment. Just say, I think that's totally rational. Or you could comment and say, dude, shut the fuck up about rubbing cum into the curtains. Stop talking about the curtains. Anyways, I think that's where I'm going to end it. What should I name this one? I don't always name them during the podcast because a lot of times I'll forget what I wanted to name it, but I think I'm going to remember this one. I'm going to call it Rubbing It in the Curtains. Rubbing It in the Curtains. I'll do that. Anyways, adios. Keep all 18 down. We'll talk to you again.